Rush hour on Fifth Avenue. No one has seen anything like this before, not in our lifetime. The city that never sleeps in forced hibernation. Except for a trip to the grocery store, the order is stay at home. But what happens if you don't have a home? The Bowery Mission has been helping needy New Yorkers for 140 years. Instead of inside in the warm dining hall, breakfast is outside on the freezing pavement. As the economy has shut down, so the number of desperate people has shot up.
I was talking to folks on this line who had been laid off of work. They weren't sure when they were going to get back to work, and this meal was part of how they were figuring out how to make their new life work.
But what they struggle to make work is social distancing.
Trying to employ social distancing as much as we can. We have our volunteers in masks and gloves as they handle food and interact with the guests. It's very, very difficult to manage lines of folks who've been outside all night and are waiting for their hot coffee, their hot meal. Everybody's very anxious to get to the front of the line.
No problem, though, finding space elsewhere. Times Square deserted.
According to the mayor, New York is now the epicenter of the outbreak in the United States. A full 35% of all the cases in America are in this city. The very factors that make it such a cultural, creative and commercial powerhouse also make it frighteningly vulnerable to a pandemic.
The state authorities are desperately gathering supplies. Inside the Javits Convention Center, a shipment of surgical gowns is added to an all-too-puny pile. Within a week, we are told, this will be a 1,000-bed hospital.
This convention center is pretty much empty right now, but it's filling up all the time with crucial medical equipment. They've got beds coming from all over the country. They've got the crucial ventilators that they need. But the governor says it's not nearly enough to get New York through this crisis. He's begging the federal government to give them more.
Amid the piles of boxes, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, holds a press conference. His message to America, please help us.
Where we are today, you will be in 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks. We are your future.
Governor Cuomo wants the federal government to let him use the national emergency stockpile of 40,000 ventilators. Instead, New York has been offered just 400. He also wants Donald Trump to use war powers legislation to order private companies to build the ventilators he needs. But Mr. Trump has so far refused.
Governor, why is the federal government not getting your message about how desperate the situation is?
You have to ask the federal government. What do I know?
What do they say when you ask them?
I don't know. Their answer is, we don't need to do it because companies are coming forward who want to do it. And by the way, I am sure that is true. It's just the timeline doesn't work. I don't need ventilators in 6 months. And I don't need ventilators in 5 months, 4 months, or 3 months. And by the way, California is not going to need ventilators in 6 months. It is now.
On the streets, normal New York life has ceased. The taxi cabs have been put in storage. New Yorkers both fearful and angry.
I've been out of work for two weeks now. So how am I going to pay my bills if I'm not a millionaire, or if I don't have a cushion?
I hope that if I get it, I won't have the severe symptoms, but if I do, it seems there might not be enough hospital beds here in the city soon. Yeah, so I'm worried. I'm keeping distance.
We're surviving, yeah.
It's scary in the city, but as long as everyone follows what they're supposed to do, I think we'll be okay.
In the north of the city, in the Bronx, the New York National Guard and state troopers are running a drive-through testing facility. Don't wind your window down until instructed. The number of positive cases here are doubling every 3 days. The infection has spread 5 times further than anywhere else in America. We often talk of cities as living organisms. If so, New York is struggling to breathe.